Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about ways of dealing with burnout. Specifically, one way that is just a basic, simple change of mindset, and how restructuring what your goals are might be the secret to push you through some of those burnout sessions. So, hey, quick one. Without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so yeah, this one's gonna be a quick one. Really kind of knee deep in NDA stuff right now, which is a good place to be, right? But, you know, keeps you busy, keeps you honest. I wanted to talk about this. I actually got a direct message from a cover artist that's been working on some comic books for Image and DC primarily. And they were curious as to, I don't know, like tackling burnout, or, you know, it's your job, you're working, you know, to 40 plus hours a week. It's the thing you love, it's your passion, but also don't mind my dogs clicking in the background, by the way. She hasn't done this all day, except for when I start recording. So if you hear that clicking, I do apologize. That's her little nails on the floor. Anyway, kind of getting over burnout. You know it's your job. You know it has to get done. There's that old saying that, you know, hobbyists and amateurs wait for inspiration, but professionals get to work. And I know how that is. I agree with that. However, that doesn't make it any easier. So having a job that you love to do, but also kind of dealing with burnout, what are some methods that, or let's say you are a hobbyist or an amateur and you're looking to get that first big break, and you know you have to put in the time to study and really kind of discipline yourself, but you just can't find the time, you can't figure out the best way to do that. So I've found there's one main way for me to be able to do that, and that is by changing my thought process, changing the way that I go about doing the work. Really, it's a change of mindset. So I'm a big fan of people that can sketch really well, like people that can draw and people that can do that sort of, just they open the sketchbook, they start doing some pencil stuff, and then it works. I'm not like that. I have to think in painting. I have to think in big blocks of color. I have to think, you know, my values and all that stuff. And really, drawing and draftsmanship is something that I'm not great at. I like doing it more now that I know that I need to be able to do it, but I just can't. I'm not good at it. I need to practice. So one of my favorite magazines is Imagine FX magazine, and they have a little thing in there that's about like a little area in the book called Sketchbook, and it's where other professional artists kind of put their sketches and stuff. It's really inspiring. They have cool advice, and they get mindset and mentality stuff, and, you know, here's my design process. It's really neat. And I thought that would be a cool goal for me to have, is to go from not really sketching at all to getting into, like, let's say an Imagine FX magazine or whatever, in the sketchbook section. So something I'm not normally used to doing, but maybe I can set the goal of trying my best to get featured in the book that way. So what that does for me is that gives me an end goal. So now sketching and learning to draw and getting better at that is now a means to an end. So a means to an end is pretty powerful, because if you take the pressure off of yourself in order to get to the goal's going to get there quicker. You're going to get to your goal faster, because now each sketch doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Now it's more about the training yourself and, hey, let me just kind of jot down some ideas and whatever. And it's not the end goal. The sketch itself is not the end goal anymore. Now you're making it part of a bigger process. So you're taking, in my opinion, you're taking the tension off of the result for each individual drawing, because you know that you're going up the steps, you're going up every rung of the ladder separate, you know what I mean? So it's like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you see all that stuff, and you see how your goals need to be met. But now your main process and the stuff that was giving you a lot of intimidation or felt really heavy now is just kind of a throwaway detail. Not to say it doesn't matter or you shouldn't care, because you should. But you're getting the gravity off of it. You're getting that, I don't know, take the pressure off yourself. I think that's what a lot of burnout comes from, is putting so much pressure that everything has to be super good. That you're in this pressure cooker of like, I gotta be at the top of my game 100% all the time. It's not realistic. And something that really helped me, my wife's an author and she's self-published 2 books. She has her master's degree in writing. Like, that's definitely a dream of hers. And one of her big dreams is to get a big publisher. And we talked about maybe the secret is just to write little things here or there, or like smaller stories or whatever, and kind of get the tension off. Kind of, just do the thing, and enjoy the process of making the thing. And the other stuff will come later. I had a football coach that would always talk about, hey, if you practice the fundamentals, the score takes care of itself. That's kind of true. Like, if you're just worried about the process, if you enjoy the day in, day out of like, okay, I'm just going to turn on some music or an audiobook, and I'm just going to sketch for a minute. It doesn't have to be good. I don't have to put it on social media. It doesn't have to be some big thing for a client. It's just for me. It can look bad. It can be a bunch of circles. It can be like a rock from imagination. Like, it doesn't have to be something super kick-ass. It's just something to do, something to relax with. You're still getting the time. You're getting, that 10,000 hours to mastery thing. You're adding hours to that. You're getting closer. And it becomes more of a habit, more of a process. So once again, it's becoming a means to an end. You're doing the thing because you enjoy it, not necessarily because it has to be the best all the time. The way I see it, if I do 500 sketches, 10 of them are probably going to be pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, maybe good enough to submit and see if they get an Imagine FX. But if not, hey, I got 500 sketches under my belt. Like, I'm way closer to the goal now than I was before. Now, with client work, it is a little different. You kind of got to be on your A game with client work. I would say that's where you actually don't take a lot of risks and you just go on what got you there. Like, they hired you for a reason. Figure out what that reason was, whether it was like paint strokes or, how cool your drawings are or whatever. And then do that. Just focus, get it done, get that paycheck, pay your bills, whatever you got to do. But to bring the enjoyment back to it, you can just get that pressure off, man. Yeah, like, I don't know, something else I thought about is like NBA players or the NFL draft or something. They don't draft you into the NBA because you're good at every single position. They don't get you in the NFL or NHL or whatever because you're good at every single part of the game of football or basketball or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you're a specialist. They want to hire you because you're good at field goal kicking or whatever. Like, find the thing that you really like doing, and you're gonna notice that some of that motivation comes back. Because once you learn how to do the thing you really like doing better, you like doing it even more. And it's a good way to kind of tackle burnout. Now, every once in a while, you just need to take a break. You just need to step away from it for a few days or a week or a month or however long. I've sadly had a job where I've done true burnout. Like, burnout, I didn't want to get out of bed. Like, took medication type stuff for like depression. Like, that's where burnout leads to that. That's not a great place to be. So to avoid that, yeah, just take your break, however long it takes, man. I mean, I know we only got the one life and it feels like we're wasting time or whatever, because I feel that every day. But it's like, there's time. You know, you gotta be easier on yourself. You gotta let yourself rest. You gotta do that. This is very much a do as I say, not as I do, because I never rest. I'm burning the midnight oil and got kids and all that stuff, so it is what it is. But the one thing I don't have with this is burnout. I don't really have burnout on the work. In fact, it might be the opposite. Like, I like working a lot. I like getting better. I like that feeling of improving and getting that client and, like, you know, proving my worth and like that sort of thing is really, it's really fun. So I'm having like the reverse problem right now. I want to work too much, and that's also not healthy. So that could be maybe the next video. I don't know. But I don't know what advice to give, because, like, you know, I'm in there. So it's like, I don't know. If you got advice for me, let me know. But with burnout, yeah, it's usually a fatigue. It's usually not only just like a physical fatigue, but it's mentally draining. And like, people don't realize how difficult a creative endeavor can be, like making music or painting or cooking, or like, that stuff's tough because your brain is always working. You're solving problems, even if they're tiny little problems, instantly. You got to make split-second decisions. And yeah, there's an undo button for like digital art, but hey, if you're doing oil painting, not really an undo button, man. Especially with like watercolor, acrylic, squash, ink pen, that type of stuff. It's one and done. You make that choice, and now it's the choice. Now you got to deal with it. So you're constantly in problem-solving mode, and it can be exhausting. It really can be. So, you know, pick up even another like creative hobby where you are partaking in somebody else's creativity. So recently I've become more of an avid reader. I say avid reader, I read like a chapter a day. That's about it. I mean, if it really gets cooking, I'll do longer than that. But really, reading for enjoyment is only something I've started really since, you know, getting together with my wife, who reads an amazing amount, you know, and she does it for enjoyment, and it's kind of infectious to see it and be able to discuss books and stuff like that. It's cool. But what I've also found is that by reading, I'm using the part of my brain that has to create a scene, but there's no pressure on me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like a passenger, and now I can solve the kind of creative visual problems in my brain while I'm reading. But there's no stakes, because the story's gonna happen regardless of if, like, what is the lighting on this scene? Like, who cares? just read, you get the visual, and you make it work, you know? So yeah, reading is helpful because it kind of refills my tank. I'm like, oh, this person created this whole world and I can see it in my mind. Ooh, this gives me a cool idea for a painting. You know what I mean? It all comes back to that. It all sort of comes back to being refreshed and approaching the hobby or the work or whatever with a different perspective, with more ideas, with a better visual library. You know, the work you're doing by not working is actually going to help your work. You know what I mean? It's another means to an end. It's a way that you can get cool ideas, and you can start vividly using your imagination with the stakes not being very high. And also it's cool because then you get to read cool books and learn about new authors, and you know what I mean? There's a secondary thing too, so you find the enjoyment there. Same thing for like playing video games, or, you know, learning computer programming, or, you know, I mean, that's very mentally exhausting, but it's way different. You're still solving problems, but it's different, you know? So maybe that's the thing. You're using your brain, you're using the knowledge, and you're creating, but it's not directly correlated to the thing at hand. I know Jimi Hendrix would always talk about who he would listen to whenever he would play guitar. You know, he'd listen to guys like Buddy Guy or these other blues masters, but really who he listened to was Miles Davis. who never played guitar in his life. Miles Davis, very incredible jazz musician, never played guitar. So why would a guitar player listen to somebody that does not play guitar? You can also see that like Paul Gilbert. I'm a big Paul Gilbert fan who played for like Racer X, and he played on Mr. Big and all that stuff. So amazing, like virtuoso style guy, right? He listens to his wife who plays piano. So it's musically related, but he can hear differently. And he uses that and like correlates it back to his instrument of choice. So do that. Like find other creative outlets that just blown away. Like I'm blown away with people that can sculpt well, because I think I can think in 3D, but I really can't. Like I have ZBrush, I have Nomad Sculpt on the iPad. I'm really bad at sculpting. I can't see it. Like I cannot visually identify what works and what doesn't in a 3D space while I'm sculpting. I can't do it. I can look at something and be like, that's not right, or man, maybe if I did this or fix this, but I can't in real time think that way. But maybe just playing around with Nomad Sculpt is going to help me think about forms in 3-dimensionality better, and use that in my illustration, use that in my painting. It's all a means to an end. Find out what works for you as a means to an end. I'm doing this sketch right now. I do like how this sketch turned out. It's kind of a different style, very, I was thinking like colored pencil instead of paint brushes. So I wanted to do this to really start finding my groove on making sketches, just for sketching. And maybe this would lead to me getting in ImagineFX magazine and the sketchbook thing one day. Who knows? I mean, it could lead to that, it could not, but I'm getting better at sketching, which is really the goal. But since I'm not putting the pressure on the sketch itself, it's allowing me to be more gracious with myself and give myself more patience and just enjoy it for the sake of doing it. And I think that's a really good antidote to burnout, is remember why you fell in love with it in the first place, But that's my time. Like I said, this was a relatively quick one. I think a less than 20-minute video here. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is there something that you always fall back on, that you go back to, that you're like, hey, I'm feeling kind of burned out, kind of stressed. Here's a thing that I like to do. Is it walking in nature? Is it, going to, martial arts class? Like what is it? What is it that kind of refills that tank that doesn't necessarily have to do with the hobby or the work at hand? I'd love to know it. So let me know in the comments. But yeah, until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Peace.